Did you know Jesus defines Holy Spirit? In Mark chapter 13, verse 11, the yellow highlighted text that you see, Jesus teaches sometimes the words people say are not their own words. The words are from or by Holy Spirit. And in Matthew chapter 10, verse 20, Jesus teaches, Holy Spirit is our Father's word speaking from your mouth. Now, I did some editing in the blue and green highlighting, and the word in, and I had to add the word through, because we have 4 examples of our Father's words. The first example, Luke chapter 1, verse 67, tells us when Zacharias declared John's the Baptist's life, these words had to be said by our Creator, for he prophesied John's life. The second example we have is Luke chapter 1, verse 41, when out of Elizabeth's mouth she declared Mary's son is blessed. These 2 verses prove their words were our Creator's words coming from their mouths. The third and fourth example are in Luke chapter 12, verse 12, and Matthew chapter 12, verse 28, where Jesus teaches our Creator's words will be said in their mind, and then they are to say his words. Other examples of our Creator's words coming to their mind are in the Hebrew text, where the prophets are being told to go out, and then our Creator will tell them what to say. Thus, Jesus teaches us there is no Trinity. I had to set up the chat rooms with a link and shut this off, and I'll be ready to go. Now, I had to do a lot of review because it's been probably about a week or more between these. So I'm hoping I'm picking up from the last things I knew I'd done in the last video. And then this text here, I can't remember what I actually said in the video, but what I can see here is that this line here, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses, and usually, well, I guess I should, yeah, I've been away for a while here. Let me show you here. This is the formats that I'm looking for, and this is a 3-verse format, and that's where this is a statement, and then these 2 become like a sentence that tells us about the statement here. And then this becomes a small paragraph, and then the 2 of them together become a large paragraph before the subject changes. As you can see, I got more editing to do because I don't have it split here. I've got it split here and split up here. So I haven't really gone through and cleaned up a lot of things on this format, or on the last text I'd done. But there is also a 4-verse format that I'm looking for, and that's what's going on right here. And I'll use these 2 because these are, I separate them, like I said, with 2 spaces. And what happens is this becomes a comma, this becomes a period for these to become like a longer sentence. And that does repeat itself as well. And then those two become a small paragraph, and then similar like words become another small paragraph, which then can be combined together that almost sound like a large paragraph when reading the subject changing. Now that you know what the formats look like, I want to now get down here, get ready for adding the text from here to the text above. Now this 4-verse format here again has, or this is a 5-verse, and when I'm reading it over, we still don't know who Basha is or where he come from. Basha come from, Bashe, 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 a son from Solomon. Now that's the what I've done here in our Creator's Hidden Formats, and this you can see here is the here is this guy's name, and he's got to be a son from somebody, because the prophecies we've got so far is he's going to raise somebody up. He's going to kill off all these descendants and relatives from Jeroboam, and he's also going to have this same prophecy about these kings here, although these are kind of good guys and bad guys at the same time, but I still felt that they were probably the best of the kings of Israel, so they get a capital letter. We don't have the story of this king yet, but this king here, you notice this guy's only going to live 2 years, and I think that's what's going to happen here, and then we're going to have this story here come about in this text, I believe. The other kings are Rehoboam over here and Asa. So when it's mentioning these are events happening in this guy's timeline, I've made this as the timeline here, and these are the events that happened right around this time. Okay. Now that I've got you kind of really messed up, but you can slow the video down, stop, and read and get an understanding of what I'm talking about. Take some screenshots if needed, and then examine the text when I go through here. Because right now this is a 5 verse, and what I'm seeing is this verse is wrong. It's not adding together correctly. So I've got to get rid of this. So I'll do this. And with the men from Ezekara, now I guess I got to bring up who Ezekara is. So let me, oops, maybe I can do that right here. Okay. Ezekara is this group of a tribe's land. And what it is that right now the capital city is Bethel, but it seems like the king here, after they've had to go and battle from what's happening up here, and these guys are going to come and take over this. It seems like the king had moved his the capital city here, or he just set up camp here to be involved in what was going to happen here. And we're going to see that in the text, I believe, here. So conspired against. Now this, I have to say, not the word him, but who we're talking about is the king, that this guy, which we don't need to because his name is now here, conspired against Nadab and was killed. Now this means that he has to be in Ezekara, okay? And we got this guy coming onto the scene. Now up here, it really doesn't tell us anything about him yet, as like whose son he is. Seeing Joseph's son ruled in his place, which was Asa, and then down here was a king, a son from Jeroboam. But it says that he died as he ruled for 2 years. Okay, so we know that he died, but we don't have how he died except for the story here that says he was conspired against and he was killed. Okay, maybe I should have caught up and read more of what was going on here. Well, Nahab and all Israel were laying siege. And that's not true. They weren't. And all Israel has to be the tribes, not and all, because this has to be written, I believe, by those in Judah are writing the history because it's so corrupt in Israel. Let me go up here and start. Tribes gets that word there. And their tribes, which are 10 of them. Now, this I'm going to add, and it's pretty much the same meaning because they're going to be as a battle. So it just not mean, it's not meaning the whole, it's meaning the whole nation of Israel. But I feel better that it's being said that it's the tribes were. And this here city here, whatever, I don't, sorry about that. Let me get this blown up a little bit more. This area here, I don't trust the secular world's placement of these cities. If they were laying siege, means they were going against somebody, okay, like trying to capture the city. So, this is going to be the prophecy that is going to kill them. That's a prophet's name. This isn't needed. Which he spake. And I'm going to have to add the word and here. Assume 2, T-O-O. And then that way I can get rid of this. I'm seeing 3 verse here lining up, but I'm kind of, okay, that's the end of 16. Now where is this besieging thing? That should build up along Benjamin. So now this was besieging them, so they, where's the, okay, here's the story. Now the story, oh, this is where, this has already been done in the last video. This is where King Asa sent money to go and have him capture, or what he did was they come up and he took Manasseh, and also they did not take Naphtali. Now those two again are here and here, which Aram was from Damascus, city of Damascus, right about up in here. So they battled them. So the king would have been here. Now that was, who was his son? Now this doesn't make sense. If, let's see what we've got. It's been a while because, okay, They still got this guy here. Now this is where I've got his son dying here. So it has to be this guy here that put up the cities. I've got to go back and do a lot of correcting here in the text, because when it gets down here and talks about what's going on, I've got this guy losing him. It was all making sense until I got to this part here where it's laying besiege to Judah. This has to be Judah. Wait, okay, I can use this right here. I don't know if sieging's the right word here. Was he blocking? They were stopping. They were blocking Judah. We're sieging Judah. Okay, I guess I can leave it that way. So in my mind now, I'm trying to put the king's line together with Bashan. In his third year, he was a king for 2. So let me see here. Timeline. He was 2 years. In his third year, you count 1, 2. So in his counting of the third year, okay, that can be right as saying that it's in his third year. So why was so Baasha here? We don't know who son he is yet in this text. So he must have lived up there, and then they come together when they were down there laying siege. Okay, he's dead by Bethel then. Bethel is the capital city for Israel, because Jeroboam made their false god idols and had them worshiping there before they went into Judah. Stopping them from going. Asa is going to come in. Asa. I'm just trying to put this together in my head. See, it doesn't say where he comes in at. It's just got him there. So in my head, I'm seeing something like this. Was one of the hardest things to do, is trying to get these kings lined up. And I knew I'd run into this problem. So this video is going to be a long one, but I'm really trying to see if I can do it in this video. This just means that he left. Then he's going to come down to remove him. Ace is coming down to remove him. So Baasha kills him, Nabab, down there working on it. He becomes a ruler. He then is, because how long does he rule? 15 years. It's got to be in his third year. This is going to be a 3-verse format because this doesn't make sense. And Baasha killed him in his third year and ruled in his place. Now we got him becoming the king. As soon as he was king, he struck down this could be everyone. I put everyone, whoops. If I put everyone here, struck down, but if I put it here and put, instead of saying struck down with 2, put the word killed. Then I'm doing this, and then this. This has to be descendants. Then he killed everyone. I guess I need the word all back, because the word everyone is raised. So then he killed all the descendants. And I don't know if this means backwards, like his family going all backwards. No, because he's from Solomon's son. So it would have been just his born children and all their children. Okay. This has to be like an S. He did not leave Jeroboam. Yeah, without the S. He did not leave Jeroboam any. Let me see here. I got to get rid of that. Forgot to do that. He did not leave Jeroboam descendants of Jeroboam. He did not leave. But that's what's saying killed all here. So I'm thinking this is like a doubling of the text, and I don't like doing that. They wouldn't do it. I sure wouldn't do it. Has killed all the descendants from Jeroboam. According to YV. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this because now it's according to. I don't need this. I don't need this. According to YV. What he spake, what he spake. Through, and I use that type of through for this purposely. I think that's the only way I use this word, so I'm hoping. I guess it has to be capital. Through his servant Anjai. Okay. And because of the sins of Jeroboam, because of the sins Jeroboam sinned, and Israel sinned too. So I guess these two are going to be. I gotta start cutting this up correctly. So if I go here, this was a 4 verse. And if I put this as an extra space here, then I've got this as a 4 verse to go with that, double space. Then then this becomes 1 space. This becomes 2 spaces. Then this to this. And then this has to be 2 spaces. Which, yeah, then that becomes 1. Okay. Because of the sins, Jeroboam sinned, and Israel sinned too. It's already explained. Here is why. Because the prophecy was foretold about them to be prophesied. So I might be getting rid of this here. I'm not sure. Although then it does kind of go here. And because the sins, I'm trying to do some extra things here, so I might be sound like I'm rambling. Sorry about that. Because his provocations, because of his actions. Because of his actions. Of how. Of how. Of how he provoked by the Creator to anger. One space, okay, then I got two spaces here, okay. Now the rest of the acts by, now these weren't many, by the way, he's only there for 2 years. They are, which I'm just moving this word from there to there, written down in the book, or Chronicle, in the book of Chronicles. And the kings for Israel, and that's not a question mark anymore. They're telling you what's going on. Okay. Now that means there's only one space. This has to be 2. Well, I got to use the word between here. It's not wars. They didn't really. I'm going to put an S on it. Battles, but it wasn't like a full-out war. They weren't supposed to kill their brothers off. They're just to say who wins and that's it. So it's not like it's a war, but it is a battle. I'm trying to keep the words specifically meaning things for what they can be tied or together for. This has to be changed to be were. And there were battles. Asia or Asa and Bashal. This I don't need here. All their days. This has to now go back to where it was. But if but this here is telling me that remember, I went through this whole thing above and I found out that this is the guy that's going to blockade Benjamin or take over the plot for Benjamin. And this is where this king is going to stop in and say, stop. So this would have been a little more of a feud, not so. This has to not be a battle, but argument. Argument. And this now that one king he's killed him. Now it's this argument: are you going to still be sieging us from going back and forth across the for Israel's people to come down and offer their sin offering? I can't get around it. I've got to use 3 words. This is a special verse right here. I can't get away from not using 3 major words. And I use the word there as a major word a lot. So here I've got to use it as a lesser word. But that's the verse. Because we already know what happened above, that they were besieging it. And he started the argument from the other Hadad, the king from Syria, or not Syria, but that's down here under kings for Aram. Oh, it's his son here that he sent down. So we've got a few more of his sons coming down here in the stories to come. So in the 3rd year, okay, so that is not right. I can just, that's not base. This guy's going to be, it's like 12 years here. 2 is 14. Almost 3 is 14. And this is where does this guy come from? And I think they're trying to say a son from Solomon. I'm turning on my other computer here. I should have done that earlier because what's going on here? This is chapter 15. Chapter 15:32. No. 15. Who is this guy? A brother of Yah. Okay, no, that's funny. Okay, because Yah is the name they gave Jesus. They're spelled one time without the J, the other times with the J. So I don't want to explain why they did that until I find out. But this is where, because the promise our Creator made him was David, always his descendant. So this has to be a descendant. He became king, so I can't use the word king here. Oh, if I've got 3 verses, then a son. I don't know. I don't have a list of Solomon's sons in mind right now. Is this telling me that Ace's son become? In his third year, in his, that's just wrong. All his days. This third year is wrong. That's what's got me puzzled here. And to separate it, this is wrong. Because they made him king right after he killed him. And it wasn't in the third year. This is like the 20th year already for Asa. So let's get rid of that. This and this means I got rid of all that. But boy, this is read out of order. Because who is ruling this 24 years here? Let me do something real quick here. I'm thinking that if I try to say, picking up the years from 12 for what's his name, Jeroboam. Then the 2 years that he was 14. And if I minus 38 is 24. It's the 24 years. I got 30 here for this. There's 24 years left for Asa. Makes sense. Well, doesn't make sense. And he didn't rule this long over Israel. So again, I don't see how we're Baasha, a son from Solomon. There was argument between Asa and Baasha all their days. Baasha, a son. Now we know this. I don't see I can use any of this. I can't use any of this. It's not making sense. I've got most of it here. These numbers are wrong. So that's got to be taken out. And lived. The way Jeroboam sinned. For he made Israel to them. Not really sin. He made him to worship Ra, the god that he made. He made the figures. He had 15 years, so he could have probably set up Ra. And I'm going to say, I'm going to add all this. So this comes up here. this in here, and I'm going to have to make my own verse here. And this is just because I know what I'm doing. He made Israel sin. Roz. Means he's the one that changed gods from Jeroboam's time. You're gonna really have to search that. I don't know where that happened at. It's got to be in this up above on this text. I have to use the word "but" here when I was proofreading. Okay, now there's 34 verses here, and I've already spent an hour here. So if I get this done in 2 hours, okay, let me try this. Words from YV came to. Now Jehu is actually descended from uh, Solomon. Now let me show you here something, because now we're talking about this guy here, okay? And they're saying this guy here, or a prophet. He's making him a prophet. So the prophet at this time, I believe, is Elijah. Elijah. So came to Elijah. I don't need this. Against bush. Exalted you and made you king. It's not too far away, so let's get green. King Israel. But you lived the way Jeroboam made Israel sin. So you are provoking me to this anger. Okay, now this is like what Baasha did, killed off Jeroboam's descendants and family, which would have been also the Nabob's or Nabes, children and wife, provoked. You have lived the way Jeroboam made Israel's son, and have me Gotta put an E here. Need to anger. For their sins, Israel's sins, I will I think it's going to be remove. I'm going to say remove is a good enough word here, not consume. Consume is just a stupid word. I will remove Okay, this is being told to a prophet, so this makes sense. I'm thinking this guy's getting told. This has got not house but descendants. Like, hey, like I made, yeah, and and this I've got to get rid of. So this has to be a word that I'm saying I'm adding as a major word. Like I made him to like the descendants from Jeroboam. And see, now that's a little bit easier to read. And the descendants from Nabat. I don't think that's his name. Why did he change the name? Let me just go back up here. See the other. Yeah, it's this. It's a B and not a D or a T. An A here. So Okay, so now that's corrected. Okay, save that. I don't know. I'm not going to divide it up here to get the right verses together. Anyone for Bash who dies in the city of dogs will eat. Anyone who dies in the field, birds in heaven will eat. Well, there's too many words in that one, the last one, so the dogs aren't not going to eat now. And I don't see that. What's going on with these verses? I don't see this as true. He's going to kill him off like he did here. That's what he said. That's what he's saying here. So why would he change it that they're going to die on their own? This is, they're trying to make this Jezebel's husband, how he was killed. Anyways, the rest of the acts by Baasha. Actions. He did. They are written down in the book. I like Word of Chronicles. And the Kings. These guys are pretty much all good until the end. Kings for Israel, which makes it a non-question. Then he died. Buried. So now I've never found this as a location, as a city, but the city that would have been important in Ezekiel's land would have been the refuge city that our Creator established. So each of them had a major city to start with, or was made as a major city. So here, I've got to say that it's by this city. And this is actually a 4 verse. But Baasha didn't have a son. Or yes, this would have been Omar. Now, why am I putting Omar? I'm gonna get to that when I get to Omar is actually being named. But the only thing is Omar has got to be a city there. But notice how it changed from a 3 verse to a 4 verse, so I've got to note this. But this city is going to have to be located. Where is it? I'm thinking it's going to have to be located probably right around in here. I've got to make new maps or add a new, all new maps got to be made after I get done. Moreover is then words from YV through his prophet and this is the second time they're putting that in, but that fits the 4 verse format this time. Now, where is this coming from? Got to check YouTube to see if there's any problems with hiccups. How's my stream health here? Okay, boy, that bothers me. Sometimes I've been away from the computer for a while because YouTube, depending on when everybody starts piling on, I get warning signs and have to adjust my bit rate. And so I usually have that I'm watching. Now, this here guy here is now it got to be a son. A son from this guy. So he has to be a good guy. But I don't know if he's from Judah's area or he's from Israel's area. He's got to be from Israel's area. Okay. But now this is telling me a 4 verse, and now this would not be right. Also came against. But I just got done editing this text. Where is it? Right here. Right here. He's already got this. So why are they repeating this? These words here are right here. A gas bash. So I guess I don't need these words here at all, nor these. So get rid of all that. Okay. Now this the rest of his accident are written. Then he died. But he died, and then this has to be written, so the text is out of order here. And this I've already got. Now in the 2 10s, which is 20, 60 year for Asa. Okay, so I don't think I can trust these numbers. So do this real quick. See if those numbers actually come out right this time. So if I have, we gotta clear this. 38 years for Asa minus the 15 that I'm gonna have is 23 years. So we've been in the 23rd year. And I got to take a quick break, so I'm going to put up Psalms here to look at and take screenshots of what I've done, and I'll be right back. Back, but I'll let you watch the Psalms, or let's read the Psalms there. Get some water here. Okay. Well, I know where was I was explaining that in the years. Get this to help me over here and bring my mouse back to reasonable action here. Okay, let me take the Psalms off. They are usually in my YouTube description. So it would have been the 23rd year, did I say? I'm an old guy with a cell phone. That's all I got to say. I don't know how to use this thing. 23 years. Okay. So now I have hopefully the correct year. Put that in there. In the 23rd year, and I'm going to take his name here, King here, his title here, put it here. Whoops. Don't need that. We know who this is. So, and Omar, see, this guy did not become king, or well, there are reasons why, because I hope the text comes up in this video here, because Omar is one who is going to start building Samara. So that I'm going to say is going to be here. And if it's 3 verse, I've got the 3 verse. Omar became king for Israel. And from no, and ruled from this city again. So this highlighted coloring here, that is text that they've added in 1977 NSAB. That's the NSAB that I'm using. So that's out. This I'm adding. This is a major word to be added. And this is added. And then this here is wrong. Now what you're seeing is the format that I'm building up here is 2 major words connected with the least amount of words to become verses that becomes a small paragraph, and then it happens again, and then together these become a very large paragraph. Let me quickly show you here. This is a 4 verse, this is a 4 verse. So these 2 make a larger paragraph, but that's what you're seeing me cut up here. Now, okay. Well, they didn't belong to the Philistines. Okay. Here's what's so funny here. When they do this, they're trying to put, they're going to be camped against this city, which belongs to the Philistines. Okay, so let me change this to maps. Get what David last ruled. Oops. Where's Solomon's rule then? Solomon ruled. Philistines are down, and the mistake is here. They're on this side of the river. This is where the Philistines are actually living when David ran them out. And up here is Israel. So how do they get around Judah's territory to battle Aram here, who's going to take those cities before? But that's the stupidness of the text a lot of times, that when you know what's going on, that you can't come from Azakhar's area past Judah. See here. Oh, it's Omar. Okay, I got the wrong name. Let's see, did I change that in the text here? No. Okay. Okay, that's up here. I've been doing it wrong. Okay. Now, if I've got this, because I was hoping there was going to be, I don't know why we got this guy involved here. That's what was stunning me here. And a servant, commander of his chariots. Of, and we know chariots was really army. That's a king. Hold on. No, that is the king. Yes, he is a king way over here. So do we have now text that's all of a sudden talking about another 100 years out of timeline here? But he can't do this. Okay, so what I've got to have is the king after he dies, which would be Ahab, not Zimmer, Zemire, whatever. And really, he's he is a descendant of him, and he's a descendant of him. And then this is when the prophecy is going to be filled of killing off all these relatives here from this time, like he did. So this gonna go on. Oh, and his son. Okay, 15 years. And okay, it would be his oldest son, which would be possible. And I'm going to leave it as a little letter right now. But I'm going to go and do this to all these right now. They've got his son killing him off. And he didn't go kill off everybody else. That isn't what happens. Okay. Okay. His son, not his servant. Because if he's going to become a king, he has to come from David's sons. So it can't be just his servant. It has to be his son who you would make king later. So his son, which is this guy's son, Ahab, commander of his army, conspired against him. Now he was at the city. Thinking it's got to be by himself. In the house of this guy, which that is wrong. And it's got to be his house. The king has a house. The word house I'm using as has servants to it. A home is going to be one that doesn't have servants, but where the family lives. But that's going to be saying where he was at in his house, not that this was anybody important here. Whoops, not that. This one. I guess that's where you'd be comfortable at, but I have to make it all as one word here. Main room. If I put the word living room, that's what people would understand maybe today. But to say it's a main room 3,000 years ago, close, I guess. Maybe it'll end up being a living room. This is not from then to when. When Ahab went in and struck him and went in and struck him. Just a second there. No, I gotta check something as well here. I just remembered. I text my sister and she replied, put and struck are the same things. So when William went in with his sword, struck him to death. Now this is just got to be changed to 38 years. He became king. And I did spend, I guess, pretty much almost a year on getting these numbers right. So here you're not seeing me go through all that detail. I'm just trusting myself. I've done it right by a creator's hidden formats. So in year of for Asa, don't need this. We don't need to know who he is. We know who Asa is because we're in the third verse type of thing, even though this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this he did not do. He's his son. He wouldn't kill off his own relatives. This guy. So this is wrong. So he'd have to kill himself to do this. Can't have that. And he didn't do this according to the word. This is not right yet. There's a lot more stories to this guy here. Okay. So this is just like a summary of what's being said here at this time. I have to put the word like the sins, like the sins of Israel. Omri, his son. This has to be also sinned. Now this is not going to be in there. So soon. Well, if I go up here, then get rid of all this to use that and Israel. Israel send to provoke and YVR creator of Israel. Now the rest of the actions of Omar and all that he did, they are written down in the book of Chronicles. The kings for Israel. I'm just trying to make sure I got the right king at the right time, because these are just the order of the kings all of a sudden as a summary of who the kings are. And this is almost like, how do you put the word chronicles and the word kings and to mean like the kings had their own stories, and this is like the very beginning, so you'd have the summary of each of the kings, so you want to find it in the books, or did they have a book for each of the kings, or is this the book of Chronicles as what interacted at what time? And we're getting both of these in this, so it's kind of hard to say which book these are coming from. Now this, we don't have Ace of Dian on this, so he is. They're saying that he is made king. And I did this before. I just rotated the word out from here. Put it here. Said I'm moving it from here. For King Ace. Ace A. This has to be back. This guy. But he ruled for so many years. I think he ruled 15 years today, 17 years. Then his son, and then his son. This guy comes through and he kills all these guys off. Descendants, relations, parents, relatives. This guy was a good guy. But I'm thinking that I've got this guy, Are they introducing this guy yet? I had 17 years, so this is what? 17. 10 and 7. And now I know that this is going to be Samara here. I know that this is going to change. So right now I'm going to just do this. This would have to be this guy here has got to be what? Zimmer was the captain, right? The captain. That's what I'm trying to think here. Commander of his army. So I made him as captain of his army down here. Their army was camped against this place. Okay. It can't be anywhere here belonging to now according to my maps. Oops, maybe I need a new one up here to make sure you guys understand what I'm thinking about and trying to this is what they had lost under the one king. Ramoth is here that they're going to be battling for here. And this is the road that Jehu's got to come back, come around here. And then this is where Samara is going to be built. So this is going to be Samara. Because Omri is going to buy this hill, and that city has got to be someplace, maybe even on this crossroad. Although that's West Manessa. So I guess there's going to be a road here. Samara's going to get built here. I got the wrong area. Sorry about that. Samara's going to be getting built here. There's going to be a road that comes up, and it's got to go around this river. How come I don't have the river in on this? No, I got some there. Here. See, this is the city. Oh, that was East Manasseh. So this would be Gad. This would be the break line for Gad here. These rivers. This river should be connected. This would have been East Manasseh. This would be Gad by the river, being able to use as a boundary line. So Ramoth is really this city. They would have been camped to be against Aram's. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm trying to put down here, but Aram's come down, they took him, and so they've got to be against them to set him up. So maybe this here is where they're. They can't cross over. That city's got to be somewhere down here then, because you would want to keep them from crossing. This is too much of a. This valley that comes down, you don't take your army down and then across, come over. You're in a ravine. You would never do that. You'd lose too many troops. They could come down on you from the hillside, and you can't fight upwards. So this is saying that this place actually is over here. And that would be in Gad. I think I do that. They said, Ahab, killed. But they'd have to know he was the commander. He had to know they were his son. So how is that? Where is his son? This would have to be his father. That's too far off, so I gotta say I'm adding that. And when they heard it, Although if I get rid of this, this is they, and when, put it here, and when they heard it, they said Ahab killed his father. Made him king over Israel. So this would be wrong. And it's got to be Ahab here. Well, I made it a capital letter. That shouldn't be there yet. He's not a good guy when he did that, by the way. Therefore, so made Ahab king for Israel. And I'm going to say, therefore, his each tribe has a commander, but he's a higher commander over all of them. So maybe I'll just use the word captains. Oh boy. Yeah, that's too far away. It's probably within the shadow, but I will say I'm adding that word. Therefore, his captains made Ahab king for Israel. This is not making sense here. And all his captains with him. Went up from would be left. No, they didn't go and besiege this. They're not here anymore. Omar, he builds, he pays for the, okay, wait a second. He pays for the hills. And then this, but he can't go back and burn the king's house down over them. In the fire they died. I've got to call that out. I can't make that. There's no such thing as a citadel. The king's house doesn't have a citadel, by the way. He wouldn't, I'm trying to think here, he had burned the house down, but why would he burn it down? And he didn't die there. He killed him in the room when he was drunk. And they, not besieged, but surrounded. That's a better word. And the city was taken. Can't say where it was. So how do I say it without saying it? Let's with the least amount of words here. And they surrounded Tezah, and the city was taken with Omar's house. City was taken. And well, he got rid of everybody that was there for him, I can see here, and the king's house. I gotta use the word then. Then the city was taken and the king's house. Okay, that makes sense. Because he killed him in the house. The people, he probably. And when he told his army, he had to tell them what he'd done. It's the only thing that makes sense. When he told them, when he, if I put the word he here, he killed his father. He went and said to, he went to his captains, I think, would that be? And he went to his captains. People to captain, I'm still going to have to add this. So I got to say I'm adding this as well. I might as well say I'm adding that. And he went to his captains and said, I have killed my father. Now, why he would have done that, it was probably because I knew at a certain time that he's going to be a good guy. Okay, but that's because of what Elijah does by pouring water out, and then they decide, okay, but then he decides, yes, we'll follow our Creator because he answered you in front of the people here for me, killed my father. And I think if I say it like this and said, I, Ahab, have killed my father, then those captains made Ahab king over Israel. Then Ahab and all his captains with him This is where I need army. And I'm not seeing this like hundreds of thousands of men here. So they must have had just a force of men and not an army. Because they were only there to prevent them from coming or knowing, sending out raid parties, and then they'd come in, or they would have spies out there to figure out what's going on. Then they would report to gather all his army together. But this, I might have to change that to a, now they're, force, not their army, their, yeah, I would have to change it right here, starting here. Their force was camped against. In other words, they would have had to take part again. And I got to see this. So what's unless there was this city here and they had crossed over and camped against it. And it's not in Gad, it's in East Manasseh. They're going to go into here. So they just have a force sitting here to prevent them from coming across. Would that be right in my mind? This would have to be changed to East Manasseh. And I've got him as a commander of the army, as his son, commander of his army. But now down here, it has to be just his force. Now their tribe was camped against. If I put the word tribe, meaning as a car's tribe, it's camped against in East Manasseh. This would be force. The force is a small amount of men that are able to act, as a preventive. I'm just trying to use the words that I'm using from other ways I'm using it in the book. Went to his men. Amen. This will be force. Force. Left from there, and they surrounded this. Then the city was taken to be ruled by him. Okay, so you have to replace the guards, you got to replace the servants, but that's overthrowing and establishing how he becomes king now. Okay. I am going to now, is it this or is it actually now that he's killed him, are we talking about Omri? He did evil in the sight of YHVH, but that's because of that was my mistake. If I'm writing the word 12, I gotta say 10, not 110 and a 2 to make it 12. 12 years he reigned, 6 years at whatever. This would have been his father then. This is this guy who he's replacing, and it was 15 years. And 5. So we are talking about Omri here. There he is right there. Okay. Now, how do I... Because of his sins, this has to be understood. We're talking about Omri, because it's not about the guy that took over. It seems like this guy is going to be a good guy and try to get rid of him and reestablish. So I knew this guy was going to be a good guy, but I didn't think I don't think any of this text came up in Creator's hidden format because I know I worked months on each of these books, like 15 hours a day for 5 years. So I would have spent more than a month trying to figure out what this was meaning then. Okay, sorry that picked it up, but it took me a lot of years to get that right. So what am I actually doing here? Let me scoot over here and rest a little bit with my chin here. See what is going on. Because of his sins, and how because of his sins and how how he did evil, sight alive, by because remember he's the guy that set up Ra's God's way, like the way Jeroboam did. Sinned. Yeah, I'm just going to have to add the word and. Got to add 2 here, get rid of this. Okay, now that does this, I believe. I can actually say this is done. And the carried out is he's done. So I'm going to do it this way and say that's within the shadow of me changing these words here. And all I've done, they are written down in the books in the book of Chronicles and the kings for Israel. No question. That can't be true. You can't have two kings over the king of Israel or the nation Israel. Either they were for him or against him is the argument here. We're divided into two parts. If I use it that way, this would be half of the people agreed he was king. No, I can't do that. I gotta say that this is not going to be used. That's not going to be used. This we've already got established. I already got that in correctly. But if I got Ahab become king, was king, was king. Ahab was king. Because I've got this already here, was king. So king over Israel, we know. And this I've been just changing. So let me do that here. Whoops. So the last year of King Asa. And that I kind of went over already, so this I have to say I'm adding that. Now Ahab ruled. Do I have Omar as ruling? I'm looking for numbers here. I thought I had 15 for him. 17? 15 years for him, 17 years for him. So I got to have 15 and 17. This tells him when he killed his father. This guy became king. He ruled for 17 years. Okay, I've got him at 17 years. So this text down here is really about Omar. So this can't be right. Omar was king. Now this here, he reigns 15 years. I like the word ruled. I need the word and ruled 10 and 5 years in this city. Because we got to remember, he came back and he surrounded that city. So this don't need. But here, see, now here's where he bought a hill. Okay, this is the story I was hoping I'd run into. I didn't think it was going to happen that quick. Okay. This is like saying that he bought this hill in such a year. He's going to be but he's the one that bought this hill. Okay. That's going to become the city Samara. The hill Samara from the hill. Now let's see. This Omar was king. But if I got to put a date in here, this is like 20 some years, like on the 310s. If I say 310s, at 15, that's in this guy's spine. So if I have 12 and I've got 14, 29. So if I do 29 or 30 would be right. Three tens, and they got the number 301 out wrong. In the 310, in the 310s year of King Ace, Omar was king in the 30th year of Asa, king of Judah, king for Judah. If I leave that alone and say that's good now. And he ruled 10 and 5 years, which is the 15 years in this. But now this is note because this is very important right here, what I'm doing, for the simple fact that Samara is going to be built on this place. He bought the hill from this guy for 2 talents of silver, and he built on that hill and built on that hill a city named and he built on that hill a city named Samara. A city he named this was wrong. This was wrong. And he built on that hill a city he named Samaria, for this is their capital. He was moving that city, but he never made it here. It was in the process of being built. And this, I said, had to be about Omar. And this here is that right there. So don't need that said. Got that. Got that. Got that. And it's like when I get rid of it, this fits so beautifully. He built on that hill, this named it that, and then the rest of the actions by Omar. Boy, I've really got to take a look at this when it's cleaned up. I'm not sure if I got this exactly right here. Of what did I think I've edited that enough so that I'm going to probably dream about. Now, see, now they got his son showing up here. But he's not going to be buried here. They're going to bury him at the other place. So this here, I've got to say I'm adding this. What is that? Tazira? We've got too much going on of Ahab going and killing him and surrounding this city. So you'd have to surround Samaria, and that isn't made yet. So this here, I don't think you can create a whole city in that time. So this is going to be said, this is going to be here. Now see, that went from a 3 verse to a 4 verse because I can't put it any other way. So this is 3 verse. This is a 4 verse. I just remove that one number in the 38th year, and that's how many years he ruled, that goes back with the same. It's going to be changed to a 4 verse, but how does that happen? I got 4 verse above. That's almost like a side note that's been added. Like we already know that from above. So maybe that isn't, maybe that needs to be all taken out. And this, he became king over Israel, and Ahab ruled. Israel from Samaria. Samaria. Or this is supposed to be 15 years. And let me get this right here. 10 and 17. 17 years. This just sounds like it's too big of a break to make this part as part of this. It's not making it as a subject. But he didn't do all the evil that's. If he killed his father, yes, that was evil. But he did turn Israel back to following our Creator. That's why he's a good king. And this here, it become tribute to walk. No, I'm going to say all this is out. Now, he didn't marry Jezebel. So now I have to come here and say, let's put this back. This has got to be separate from this. Because it's this other guy with Joam, J-Ram, Joram. The word's got to be then if I'm connecting these together. Is some. No. No, we don't have synonyms, so there's no king. This is the female goddess's name. Now, this isn't going to be the first king to go that way, so he couldn't do more than all. This is not truthful enough. I can get rid of all this. Oops. I need this number so it says that this text is from there. He done evil. For he married Jezebel, daughter from. Notice how they're trying to get Bala in here as well. So let me just get rid of this from Eth. And serve Raz and worshipped Asherah. Now this would be a daughter from, maybe it's a foreigner. He married a daughter from Egypt, and she served Baals and worshipped Asherah. So he erected if you worship her, then you have to have her altars. Not sure I'm spelling this right. Yep. Or firm. It doesn't read smooth enough. See, this is the other name. The female goddess has got 3 names from the moon. So this is the one that they're using here. And this is the one, let me pull that up because I am using that right now. So, these are the 3 names right here. This is the one I'm using right here. Okay. Now, it's not this guy. It is. Where do I have his name? Didn't I put it down yet? Put it down here. And we're missing his son, by the way. So what we have is this guy missing right now. And he's got 20 years. 2 10s and 20 years. But this story is telling me, everything is telling me it's this guy here. This is skipped over. So and they together then. This is not, so it has to be therefore he erected. I'm thinking of the word erected. Then he made. Then he had made. They had, and he had it made. I'm hoping I'm reading it right here, writing it right. He made altars. I'm going to put S for the simple fact that there had to become a custom for them to put them into the marketplaces, into the streets and stuff like that, and built them in Asher and then Samara. And anger. Anger, whatever. He rejected him. Okay, now why I did that is because we had kings. Well, we only got one right now that you know of. This guy here. When we killed his father off, I think he did good by bringing him back, and that's why he got rid of the old city and now is ruled in the new city. How fast did that happen? I don't know. We don't have times of that. And then his son, who witnessed what Elijah did by pouring the water on the offering and then fire coming down from heaven to consume it, he was on board too. So these guys were doing good, and it's his other son that became king. That's so it would have been his youngest son. And I'm going to put his youngest because It has to be a son anyway, but I just want to put it as what's going on here. Okay. They're getting ready for me over at my mom's place there. Then where he had married, he had to be married before he got there, so he had married Jezebel, a daughter from a foreigner. Okay. Now this don't need. In his days, somebody rebuilt Jericho. Can't be built, had to build up Jericho. It has nothing to do with it. For he spake by Joshua the son. No, that's out. Okay. I do believe I'm finally done here. Now, I know it was confusing because of me just going to what I know as what took me, like I said, a lot of time to do. Let me save that before I pull up this other one. And then say if I put this here. Well, that was a lot of editing today. This is 3 hours and 5 minutes, but that's not bad. But that was a lot of editing, but got it within the new time frame I'm trying to get into here. Because there's only a few more books to go, and they are rather long. Now that says 4 verse, that says 4 verse, that was a 4 verse. So if I say that this is continuing from the text that I did from the day before, then this goes here, this goes here. Oops. Now I went from a 3 or 4 to a 3, so I better note it. Two, 1 space, 2 spaces, 1 space, 2 spaces. Okay, now this changed. And what I'm seeing here is that there's text missing right here, because he had to die and his son had to come in here. So where is that? So I'll put this right here right now. Got to come up with another name than this name here for this prophet. There's that got to be added. And then it would go from 3 verse to 4 verse. No, 3 verse. It's to connect together, right? If I got this here as 2 space, 1 here, 2 here. This has to be 2, and it broke just right because now it's 4 verse. Then I've got it cutting back to a 3 verse. So it looks like I'm going to end up making that a 2 verse or 3 verse. Because actually, this does sound like it wants to go here, and then here, then here. I will probably end up recutting these, but just okay, now it fits together the way I think it's supposed to go. In 2 spaces. Then 2 spaces. 2 spaces here. Now see how that just come out so clean? Oh man, oh yes, this was where I know that the other king has got to be put into here. So I know that this here stuff's gonna have to move someplace, I think. But Did that just go from 3 to... Boy, that looks pretty good. Oops, this is the 4 verse. And yes, this is a dividing spot here, because I can't go from Ahab without having his son here. Then this guy comes into place. So there's a spot here. What did I have up here? I hit it here. Well, this would have to be like that then. Now I can save it, but that's really, really nice there. So I will check these other spots here that I've got, or here, go back in the text to see if I missed something that needs to be here or not. But that's going to be the end of the video for right now. And I will be posting another one more often. Subscribe, join, tell the world. Thank you.